Hi.
Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. You got Mark and I on the video today. So we did a video the other day about kids being content with the amount of toys that we have. And someone had asked us about just the amount of toys that we have as a family and how our kids can be content with the little amount that we have. And we have a little amount because we've chosen a little amount, not because we can't afford more than that. So the next video we wanted to do, I think that showing your kids contentment in your life and the things that you choose to purchase and why you choose to make the purchases you do, and explaining that to your kids helps them to be content with the things that they have.
Like modeling contentment for them.
Imitation.
There's a lot of things that are like that. Imitation. You know, we imitate Jesus in very many things. Like we're told to imitate Paul as he imitates Christ. We're told that Christ is our ultimate example in everything. So as parents, it's our responsibility to then be good examples to our children.
Yep.
Children, don't do that. Even though I do it. We won't get into that too much.
So you'll hear the children. They're over there playing in the woods. So I'll keep looking back once in a while to see where people are. But anyway, being content with what you have. God has given each of us a budget, so to speak, of how much money he's provided for your family. And for our family, that has always been a smaller amount than people think. Do you need help, Abigail?
Yeah, I can't
Can you go?
Yep. You hold
Hold
that.
on.
I'll be back.
We're swinging. Big sister is inside getting lunch prepared because we're having a picnic and we're just here at home. But the baby has slid forward in his seat, and the 8-year-old. How old are you, Abigail? 9. The 9-year-old. She just had a birthday. Couldn't quite get him swung back. So anyway, being content with the place that God has placed us with our finances right now. We have always been a family with smaller means than other families. When we got married, I came from a family that was well off. We were not rich, but we definitely could just go to the store and buy the things we wanted without much thought about it. My parents were able to hand me money. Like if I went to a friend's house, they could hand me money so we could buy pizza and stuff. But I also wasn't just given everything. Like I had to help purchase my first car. I had to pay insurance on my first car. So there was definitely, I feel there was a good balance in my family for the amount of money my parents made. They could have handed me more things and they made me do some work for the stuff that I did have. So
I would say we had less. Like my dad worked hard and made money, but like there was 3 of us boys, and for multiple years we were going to Christian school, which they were paying for out of pocket. So most single family incomes weren't paying for tuition for private school for 3 kids.
yeah, both my parents worked. So
Yeah, so we didn't have a ton of things, but I don't feel like we went without either. Like I don't know, you never consider yourself poor, do you?
So then when we got married, Mark almost immediately became disabled. He wasn't making much when we got married anyway.
No.
And then almost immediately became disabled.
Yeah.
But we weren't getting disability. We were getting some, yeah, you can say. We were getting money from the state. I don't remember what programs we were on. I think we were on.
We got food stamps at that point, right?
No, I don't think we
Briefly?
even got food stamps then. We were waiting for food stamps because I had,
TANF? Was that
yeah,
what it was?
TANF maybe?
It was like $500 a month for the first few months of our...
Yeah, because we were trying to wait for disability or whatever going on. So I went from someone who could go with my parents to the grocery store and just grab whatever I wanted to I suddenly had to feed my family, and I had a very specific amount. I don't remember what it was. Let's just say it was $35. And if pasta had gone up by 10 cents, I had to rework things because if we were planning pasta a couple nights, it might not be able to get as many bananas or whatever.
But we always had food.
We always had
Like
food.
we
yeah.
might not have had exactly what we were looking for, or maybe I didn't get as much meat as I wanted, but I think that's the point, is
Yeah.
being thankful for what we have, because we don't deserve anything, and God blesses us with many things. So being content is really about gratitude.
And in that first time, we actually got a lot of help, but it was kind of unseen help because our bills always got paid. But if you looked at the money that was coming in, we weren't able to just hand out the checks that were needed.
I'm pretty good with numbers, and I think God had something to do with our checkbook for about a while there.
A while, yeah.
Because there was no way you could pay that. It was like $550 a month was our rent, and that was also the income from TANF that we got. And somehow we still ate food. And yeah, we weren't on food stamps, I guess.
We weren't on food stamps at that point.
And somehow we ate.
I went back to work for a little while because I had worked before we got married. I went and got a job at McDonald's while I was pregnant with Virginia. It ended up being only a few weeks, months, maybe a few months, maybe.
3 or 4
but
months.
I ended up having early contractions, and so I had to stop. But that was actually a blessing in disguise because I was able to get cheap food while I was at work.
Right, yeah.
So that helped our food budget at home. Yes. But yeah, just being content with what God has given you and the means that he's given you. So all through our time being married, we've lived on not a lot in the budget, but God has provided that we were able to get out of debt a while ago.
Funny enough, 15 years ago today.
Today,
it came up in my Facebook memories that the house was sold, and when the house was sold, we paid off the truck that we had a payment on, and that was the only debt we had was the house and the truck. So we have been debt-free for 15 years today.
So when Mark and I got married,
Even though we live way below the poverty level for even like a family of 4,
yes,
let alone 10.
So when Mark and I got married, he was out of work for a little bit, but then we bought a house on a like first time home buyers loan thing.
Yep.
And it was a lot of house. I mean, even back then the house was like 90,000.
It was 88,500. Yep.
And so we gave them full price, with the bank still owning it, mortgage, all that stuff.
We had an acre of land, and it was it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, double wide trailer that they had added on 2 bedrooms to. So it was 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, I guess.
So during that time, Mark was able to go back to work in the time that we were living in that house. He first started working for a friend who did photography, and he was kind of the equipment carrier.
Yeah, I couldn't drive, so he was like, hey, when you're feeling well enough, I need these bags to go over there. Okay,
Yeah.
good, I can do that.
And then Mark's condition so this condition is the same one that he deals with now, the dystonia.
Yep.
But it's gone good and bad over the years. So after working for the photographer guy, that was just kind of part-time, seeing if he could work, but that person didn't need him as he wasn't even doing that full-time. So
No.
then Mark started working for a friend who was a carpenter who could pick him up, and Mark learned a lot of carpentry skills through that. But when he first went into carpentry, he was doing more
It was a board holder.
Cut that board. Oh, you cut it wrong.
Yeah, a board holder and a lumber carrier. But I couldn't drive at that point. So.
Right. But Mark learned a lot of skills through that, and we're very thankful for that friend giving him a job. So that all happened while we were living in that house. God gave us the opportunity to work with churches around the country, and we moved out of that house and put it on the market. That was a whole nother story. We probably have that somewhere here on the video. But then we realized we weren't coming back to live in a regular house at that point. We were living in the camper, going around the country, and so we sold the house. And we sold it during a collapse in the...
It was the 08, 09, like it sold in April of 09, so do the math on that one.
But God was
The bubble
good.
had burst by then, yes.
God was good, and we got an offer of full price by someone standing on a snowbank looking in the window. We hadn't even plowed the driveway and stuff like that. In Maine that it's hard to get 2 houses. It wasn't a terribly long driveway, but it was enough someone had to park on the road and walk
300 feet through the snow.
walk in a snowbank, and looked in the window and gave us full price. So that was amazing.
So handy tip, if you're looking to live in a cheap house like a 1985 double wide trailer, putting tongue and groove knotty pine, even number 4 on the walls really does it up. It looked really nice. It looked like a little log cabin. That's what they said. It looked like a log cabin, so I just had to buy it.
So it was really cute. Mark did a lot of work on that house through the carpentry skills he had learned, and we got our money back for the house. And during that time, we had purchased a truck, which wasn't necessarily the best purchase, but we were able to pay it off with the money that came from the house.
Yep.
So that's how we got debt-free. So since that time, we've really focused on being debt-free. And I'm not doing this video to say that debt is sin. There's definitely times that mortgages are necessary. There's definitely times that, you have medical bills. I'm not saying anything against those, but to put yourself in debt for things that you don't need is leading to part of that discontentment that people have.
Yeah, I think so. That was what happened. Is I had a vehicle that worked and still ran, but I really wanted
Really wanted a truck.
I wanted a 4-wheel drive truck, and we had actually just gotten our foster son at that point, and I think he went with me while I was doing donuts on the test drive in our front yard in the snow.
Not the smartest thing to do.
Don't make impulse decisions. I came home and I was like, so Sarah, I really like this truck. It's really nice. Don't you like it? And she's like, can we afford it? And I'm like, it's a really nice truck. Don't you think it's really nice? And 4-wheel drive would be helpful. It would help me with my work and stuff. And she's like, do we need it? And I'm like, no, but I want to get it. So I got it anyway. Not the best decisions to make. So.
Okay, Samuel, that's high enough. Sorry,
so we're not saying it's bad to go in debt. Say, use debt wisely.
Yes, use debt wisely.
Yeah, just use it wisely.
Because a lot of times...
Pray about decisions before you make them.
Yeah, like the truck.
A big one. Like the truck. That I didn't pray about it. I didn't even tell anybody I was going to pray about it. Or if I did, I lied. I don't think I told people that, though.
I don't think so, because he kind of just went one day to look at a truck and then had a truck that day. I don't think you had enough time to tell anyone you were going to pray.
I'm pretty excitable.
So anyway, yes, thinking through decisions you're going to make. Also, just thinking of why do we use the money we use in the way that we use it. So I was talking to Mark about this the other day because something came up about groceries. I'm doing a grocery challenge this coming week. We'll see exactly what day that comes because we had a couple sick kids yesterday. So I want to be able to focus on the grocery challenge when we do it. Everyone's healthy today, though. We're just staying home from church to not pass on the sickness.
We think it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
We think.
So anyway, we were talking about this with food the other day. So like we as a family, I don't want to go in the grocery store and tell kids we can't afford that food. I mean, there are times that we can say we can't afford something. Like we recently watched a documentary thing on caviar. I can't afford caviar. And I'm okay with saying that.
Nor would I want to. Yeah.
I don't even want to try it. So
not
please don't send any samples. I don't want to try it. I'm okay saying we can't afford caviar. But I don't want the kids thinking that we have money struggles because I'm choosing not to buy something by saying we don't have money to afford that. I'd rather say we're not going to buy the ice cream because we want to spend our money on nutritious foods that give our body more bang for the buck, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But we do. Naomi had a birthday just a couple of weeks ago, and her dessert of choice was ice cream, and she bought ice cream for everyone. So like
normally
she didn't go buy ice cream for everyone.
All their own meals for the day, and usually what cake they're going to make, but basically what dessert they would like to have.
Yeah.
And so on their birthdays, yes, it is a treat, and that's how we choose to do things.
Right. So they get to pick those things. But I don't want them thinking the reason we don't have ice cream more often is because I can't afford it. I want them to know that we've thought through what we're going to purchase and we choose not to buy ice cream as often so that we can have more fresh fruit and vegetables, or we can have more meat, or we can have different things that are better for our bodies. And again, that's different in your family. When I was a kid growing up, we had ice cream in the freezer all the time, and ice cream was like a daily thing.
If we had if we had ice cream in the freezer every day, I would eat ice cream every day, and I don't need ice cream every day, so we can't keep it in the house. This is a self-control issue too.
You can talk about the self-control.
There's contentment in saying we don't really need that, and then there's self-control in saying even though we have that, we don't need to devour it all right now.
Yes. So like a lot of things we portion out as a family of we're cutting it into this many slices so that everyone can have another slice tomorrow, and we make sure everyone in the house knows that there's another slice for each person tomorrow.
Because otherwise Daddy would just go eat. Anyway.
I'm not eating these treats right now because of gestational diabetes. I do like the cake and the stuff too.
She doesn't eat a lot of it even when she's not pregnant and dealing with diabetes. I'm the sweet tooth. I'm the self-control person. I once wrote a little book pamphlet kind of small short book thing
about food.
Series of essays about eating good healthy food. You should read it. I should probably read it too because there's good stuff in there.
But anyway, being content with the things that God has given you. So we had times over COVID that we didn't need the food boxes that people were getting from like the local schools and stuff. I don't even know exactly how that worked out, but you could drive through and get a box of food.
Yeah.
I don't know how that worked. We weren't in a place that we needed it, but it could help our budget. But we wanted to make sure people who needed it got it. But we were given food by people who had gotten it through those boxes because like milk came in it and like I knew someone who was allergic to milk, so they couldn't have the milk, and it just came in a box. Like it came in a box. You couldn't say, I don't need that.
Right.
They just gave you the whole thing. So anyway, we were able, instead of complaining that we were gonna eat the same thing for a while, we used the milk to the best of our ability, and we made more pancakes, and we made more puddings, and we made more other stuff because we had milk available to us, and it helped us to save on our grocery budget in other ways.
Yeah.
One thing we couldn't figure out what to do with was Scrapple. We did eat it a few times.
We did eat it,
but
we did eat all of it. I didn't care for it. It never got crispy. Like you could never firm it up. It was still kind of sludge.
Yes. Just so you know, I'm not trying to be inattentive on these videos. We just, all the kiddos are out here playing.
Yeah,
and
they're kids.
there's a kid somewhere else making noise.
And Josiah's over there. But yeah, there's some other kid in the neighborhood maybe.
Making noise somewhere, and I keep feeling like we're missing it. Not we're missing a kid, but like a kid's too far away. But it's someone who's actually at a different house.
In your neighborhood.
Okay, you can help him. So anyway,
do you remember that song?
I do.
What?
He's singing Sesame Street song. So, anyway, being content with what God has given you. At times, that has been a lot of rice and beans for our family, and we find ways to use the rice and beans, and we find ways to. You want to show people your helmet?
Let me see your helmet.
Oh. Is that
you're
not how
looking
you wanted
good,
it
Bob.
on? Here.
No.
Okay.
Which stripe do you want? Oh, this one?
I want the one that tightens it.
Okay, here's the other one that tightens it.
Very good.
Well, I want
This is the hardest fire
There
helmet
you
to
go.
put on.
Wardrobe malfunction.
Okay, there
Please
you go.
stand
You
by.
got-
I want the one that tightens
Oh, you want one of the yellow helmets?
really tight.
Really
Okay,
tight,
okay.
So it doesn't fall off your head.
There you go.
Be
You look good.
content with what you have. Be content
Careful,
with
not
what
too
you
fast, Abigail.
have. Hi.
Abigail's pushing her little brother on his bike. The 2-year-old has figured out how to ride the pedal bike with training wheels a little bit, but the back wheel.
You learned how to steer at least.
Okay. Carrying on.
So, being content with what God has given you. That might not be something that you choose, but it's something that God's dropped in your lap. So there's other things like clothing. We have very limited wardrobes because, well, part of it is because when we moved from that big house that had 5 bedrooms to the camper, we really had to limit how many clothes we took because there were 3 kids and I was pregnant with number 4 when we moved into the camper, and we only had so much space.
That was
for clothing.
156 square feet, something like that.
It was small
For 5 of us.
but it was good. But we definitely had to think of what we needed for clothing, and since then, so that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Since then, we have had a limited assortment of clothes because our clothes are going to get worn out. Kids are going to wear through their pants, and so I don't keep 10 pairs of pants for each boy.
No.
They each have about 5 pairs of pants, and when they get holes in them, we get them another pair. But instead of having all of the perfect outfits for every occasion, just as a family, that's what we've chosen to do. Again, not saying it's wrong to get clothes. Just, are you content with what you have, or do you always need the latest and greatest? Our phones, our old iPhones that we bought, I don't even know how that all happened, but
We bought them last year for $100 each, so we got 2 iPhones for like $230, I think was the total. Our cell phone plan is $30 a month for mine and $25 for yours.
and that's how we do all our videos.
That's how we do things,
Is
yeah.
on those plans.
Yeah, I'm on one of those cheap iPhones right now.
Yeah. So, like working with what you have.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad to get a better camera or anything like that, but for the videos we're making, we just want to encourage people in what they have. And if you have a cheap iPhone, then make your videos on a cheap iPhone.
There's days that I would love to have a real camera, you know, like watching the bees pollinate the flowers and watching the birds fly and watching, you know, different things. I would love to have a little crisper video, but man, aren't we discontent with that? I remember when we started making videos on, it was like a $20 track phone that the sound was terrible and the video was terrible. You know, we can communicate with people and we don't have to have the latest and greatest. I mean, praise God, we have what we have. You know, we have unlimited internet at our house.
Yeah.
We didn't have that 10 years ago.
No.
We didn't have that 6 or 7 years ago, I don't think.
And thinking through what you're going to use, because we've made purchases in the past of something that we thought was going to be a great use to, like, even our video making. We've bought things in the past that we were like, oh, we're really going to use that for our videos, and then we don't use it for our videos.
We bought one of those ring lights, you know, like the USB driven
like
ring
this
light
big.
that, like, you know, lights up your face when you do videos. We used them a couple times, and it was really frustrating to have to set up lighting and all of that. And we just decided for us, again, we're not making movie productions here. We're trying to share our lives, trying to share wisdom that we've learned, trying to share with people. And the less complicated that is, the more likely we'll actually make videos for you. So we've just chosen to make it really, but we did use the ring light yesterday because as we were cutting the kids' hair, which is something we do to save money, we cut all the boys' hair yesterday, just using a set of $20 clippers we bought from Walmart.
And if you want to know how we
used
do
the
the
little
girls'
ring
hair,
light, getting close.
if you want to know how we do the girls' hair, I just did a video on that this morning.
Yep.
Careful, Abigail. I don't want the 2-year-olds. We don't want medical bills.
No,
of going to the
don't need that.
hospital. So anyway, yeah, just modeling contentment. And part of that modeling contentment is also
Speaking of modeling contentment, look at the contentment of boys.
is also just being grateful and expressing your gratefulness for what God has given you, expressing it to God and expressing it to your family. Because I think we too often will get grumbly about, like the other day we were talking about this, we weren't grumbling, but it easily could have become grumbling. The one bathroom in our house, it takes a long time for water to warm up. Like a really long time for water to warm up.
3 to 5 minutes, I would say.
But we get hot water in that bathroom. We can
have
take
hot
showers. It's a great shower. It's a big, nice shower.
Yep.
It just takes longer for the water to warm up.
Yep.
And so we can focus on the fact that it takes longer for the water to warm up, or we can focus on the fact that we have hot water.
Yeah.
And that I can turn on the tap and I'm never worried if water's going to come out. I've never worried about that. We have lived in situations when we were living in our camper, especially last year. Tennessee got totally frozen and lots of people lost water. It wasn't just people in campers.
Yeah, we were
people
days,
in real houses
maybe even
too.
a couple of weeks at one point without water or the way to dump the sewer.
Yeah.
That was challenging.
But how
But
many
we figured it out.
times do we really not think about electricity and being able to turn on a light until the electricity goes out for some reason?
Right.
And we suddenly are like, oh God, I'm thankful for electricity. But other than that, we don't think about it. So I guess.
I think we model that even, sorry, I know you're thinking
No,
about
go
something.
ahead.
I think we talked about modeling being exemplary in it. When we pray together every night, like as a family, each one of us prays. And one of the things that I try to focus on is being thankful for all that God has given us, including our home, including this property. Like we have grass and swings and yard and
Grandma's
all
house.
kinds of wonderful things that we can enjoy because God has blessed us with them. And the kids are all riding bicycles. And that's, well, we'll do a video about bicycles again soon, right?
Yes. Hey, Samuel, will you go grab the mail?
You're gonna grab the mail on Sunday?
Today's Sunday, but we never got it yesterday because
Oh.
it was raining all day.
Oh, that's
I
right.
just remembered we never got it. So I would say the other thing is we kind of play, I play a little game in my mind. I think some of the other people in the family do it. But when there's a time to be, that could be used for grumbling, what are things in that moment that I can be thankful for? So like a couple weeks ago, we were having a hard time with Josiah having seizures. If you followed along on our journey, it's something that we deal with periods of them. And we've actually been really good until yesterday. We had 2, but the barometer was going down and I think that's what caused them.
Right, but we had done like 12 days without a seizure.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But anyway, in the midst of it, thanking God that we had supplies on hand to make things easier, that we had emergency meds if we would have needed them, that we were actually home as a family instead of in the ICU. You know, just those types of things, you know, in the midst of that.
Josiah, there's a blue jay over there, just above the sink. You hear?
In the midst of, you know, a nasty diaper change, hey, I have hot water in that sink that I can wash my hands when I'm done with this. I have enough wipes and diapers to clothe my baby without being worried that I'm not going to be able to do that next week.
See him.
You know, that we have enough cash to do that. It's just things like that. Like challenging yourself of what can I be thankful for, even if this circumstance doesn't look thankful. Like when we lost water with the bad freeze, our camper was always warm enough. We had enough clothes and things that we were content with being in the house. We just had to do things a little differently because of the water situation, but we weren't outside freezing We didn't have to, I wasn't trying to make hot soup to keep my children's bellies warm because they were freezing. I didn't have to make those choices. So just thinking through those things and then verbalizing those things. Because what?
I poured
Uh-huh.
some sand in the grass so I get a bug in the grass.
Okay, well, how about we keep the sand in the sandbox? It's not even really a sandbox, but it's a pile of sand over there. So anyway, I think verbalizing it, thanking God for what has happened, but also verbalizing it to our kids so that our kids realize, like, today, we're going to have some soup that we were able to prepare yesterday and some bread that big sister made yesterday, and there's not a lot of work. Like, the sister that's been inside, she's warming it up, so like there's not really much to do. But we were able to have a nice warm meal that filled our tummies that we all were able to enjoy. Like, it's an enjoyable meal, but it's still a cheap meal for our family. And you'll see more of those next week. Right. But just being content. I don't know how more to explain it, but I think it's definitely something that you have to model for your kids, so your kids will be content in the things that they have too, and not always searching for the latest and greatest. I know a lot of people who will say out loud to their families, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if we had? Wouldn't it be great if we did?" Like, I don't want to go to Disney World, but there's people that I know that would be like, "It would be so nice to go to Disney World," and that puts that thought in your kid's head when they didn't necessarily even think about it. Or wouldn't it be nice if we had whatever? Yeah. You have a thought on that?
Yeah, because I mean, there is a time when we're actually breaking a commandment to say we're not supposed to be coveting our neighbor's things. I'm not gonna sit there and point as to what exactly that number is or statement, but I know in our own hearts we have to guard ourselves to say, God has blessed my neighbor over there with a nice house and a nice truck and all kinds of nice things, and he's got all the latest yard implements and tractors and motorcycles and campers, and I mean
They've done well for themselves.
They don't have kids. They work hard and they've done well for themselves. But I can say, well, praise God. He's blessed these people, and he's blessed us in different ways. We have an abundant blessing of children. For some people, they don't have an abundance of something that they might see, but you might just be thankful for what you do have. Your health is another thing to be thankful for. Yeah. That we have health struggles. So now I thank God that I can walk and talk most days, because there's days when I can't. And there's days when we, like you said, we're just thankful to be home and not having to go to the hospital because Josiah's not having seizures that are bad enough right now that we have to go to the hospital. But I also praise God that when we do need to go to the hospital, there are people there to help us. Yeah. That have medical knowledge that God has allowed us to discover.
Yeah, we're not against medical stuff. It's just nice when you don't have to be separated as a family. Definitely. But like last night, we had a child who had a really high fever. Yeah. And we had the things here to be able to help. I didn't have to give medicine, but I had the medicine available. I had food available and drinks available that would help that child. And so just knowing that we have that availability.
My nose is running. Sorry.
Yes? Yeah, what do you want to say?
Yeah,
So when I had a seizure in Tennessee, I had to go to ICU. When I was able to go out, they handed me a nice warm blanket.
They did. That was such a blessing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you still use that blanket most days, don't you? Yeah. It's getting to be summer, so maybe he won't be using it so much anymore. Yep. But it was a nice warm blanket. But yes, just being able to look at our circumstances, be content with what we have, not always looking for the latest and greatest, but trying to improvise with what you have if it's not a time where God's giving you the opportunity to purchase that thing, and just being content, thankful. Yeah. So that's what we had to say today. Okay, we'll see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God.